guys, welcome back to episode 3 of the Justus Podcast. I'm here joined by Evdawg, Fred, and Knob26.
Hello everyone.
How we doing?
Oh, greetings.
And today we'll be talking about Super Mario 3D Allstars, Transformers Cyberverse, Ray Fisher vs. Warner Brothers, and the Avengers game.
Yeah.
There's a lot we have to break down, so let's start off with, going from left to right as always, Super Mario 3D All-Stars. This game compilation consists of Mario 64, Sunshine, and Galaxy. 3 full roaming 3D games, well, at least for the first 2, bundled together in a collection that has been released for the Nintendo Switch this year. Before I talk about the compilation itself, what are your guys' memories with Mario games? At least these 3 specifically.
Personally, don't have much experience with Mario Sunshine or Mario 64. I know a fair amount of 64, and I know it was like one of the game-changing Mario games back then. Like, it was first of its kind, moving the camera around 3D environments. Super Mario Galaxy is really, for me, where I know the most about it. That's the one that brings me the most nostalgia as a kid. I fucking loved that game.
I absolutely agree.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the one I play the most, and I have so many child memories. It's all because of that.
Yeah.
Me personally, I first played in Mario 64 DS, the remake to Mario 64, and in some ways I find the DS remake better than the first game, but it's still, the original game's still pretty good, honestly. Maybe a little outdated in some ways because of the aesthetics, although those are perfectly fine aside from something like Bowser's Model or the 2D sprites looking 3D. But visually it's not that bad. Gameplay-wise it's more or less the same, although DS certainly has the consistent 30 FPS, whereas Mario 64, the original hardware, sometimes had a bit of a dip to 20 at certain levels. But still, Original game is very nice. The fact that we are introduced to Mario's 3D head, who's nicely animated for his time, is pretty good. I love Charles Martinet's dialogue in the game, as brief as it is. And getting to move around in the levels, whether it's a castle, even if it's kind of empty, Bob-omb Battlefield, swimming through Jolly Roger Bay, fighting against Bowser, it's all pretty good. I love the music too. Like, it's got specific atmosphere, and it's iconic even to this day.
Yeah, well, 64 is like, you know, a lot of people have a lot of respect for this game because it's like the beginning of all the things that will make Super Mario, you know, great in the next years and the next games.
I agree. The best part is the fact that it takes away from what Mario games are normally known for as 2D platformers, and it stands out in its own thing, which makes you wonder why Mario fans are acceptable with that thing in terms of the transition from 2D to 3D, but not Sonic fans. Anyways, Mario 64 in some ways is a great game, although there are certain things that do make it a little dated. I already mentioned that the aesthetics might not be everyone's cup of tea, but the way you boot it out of the level when you get a star, unless it's a 100 coin star, is kind of sucky. Like, they did this to pad out the gameplay to make it seem longer, but in reality, it's kind of an annoying thing. But honestly, I'm not against it because I'm so used to it. It just feels a little more satisfying to get the star, go back to the level, and then go back in again. It gives you that feeling of, okay, here we go again, guys. That's not a big problem I have with Mario 64, honestly. The problem I do have is a certain level known as Rainbow Ride, where if you miss out a platform, or if you lose a life by falling into the pits, then you have to get all the 100 coins, or you have to get a specific level, and it's just so unappealing. All the other levels are pretty good, honestly, even for as dated as it can be, but Rainbow Ride sucks, even if it's sort of part of the game and it's part of my memory. So I kind of love-hate it in a way. The castle itself, like, I didn't notice until years later thanks to memes regarding the personalized Mario 64 stuff as well as the war apparition, but in a way the castle just seems a little empty, don't you think?
Yeah, right. Castle's always just, there's nothing in there.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, you just gotta jump in the paintings, so...
Yeah, it does feel a little empty. Like, it wasn't a bad thing for me, but now that the Mario 64 memes have talked about this year, it's sort of one of those things where I realize, okay, I see what you guys are going for in terms of the discussion. The music is great, like I said, but it's kind of annoying how some of it has been reused. The Jolly Roger Bay theme has been reused twice. We get the Bob-on Battlefield theme reused at least 4 times. Peach's Secret Slide has been reused for all the slides. And it makes me wish we got a little more music variety. I know for a fact that fans have made great music that still feels like it's part of the game. Like I said, part of the personalized meme, where it feels like something that you thought you grew up with, even if it didn't actually exist. Even for its dated problems, I still like Mario 64 quite a bit. I mean, it's just part of what I like about Mario. It's the seed. And like most first games or first entries, I kind of feel that they get a little too much praise. I still respect Mario 64 immensely.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I think everyone can agree that it's like so memorable on itself, and there's so much innovation for those times in just one game.
I
The
agree.
open world used to be so weird back then. And I mean, Mario really fucking came, and I don't know, it was fantastic at the time.
Yep.
Yeah.
But Mario Sunshine itself is where people start to be a little more divisive just because of some nitpicks that we'll talk about. But what are you guys' memories with Sunshine?
I don't have a relationship with Sunshine.
Yeah, same. It's like,
Yeah, Sunshine
no.
skipped over me.
Yeah.
Alright, for me, I'll say this. It does feel like a great sequel to Mario 64 because instead of basically doing the same thing that 64 did, except, add Luigi or something, which I think they were planning to do for the disk drive, it stands out on its own for its own themes. I like the beach theme that it has with Delfino Plaza. I like the music. The NPCs are a lot more alive than the Toads were in Mario 64. Using Yoshi was great, even if he vomits out some goop. And I like using Flood. Flood is a nice way of changing up the formula of Mario's movesets while still keeping it faithful. And I also like switching out the nozzles for specific modes. I have to say that the way things are changed up for Sunshine makes me like the game a bit more than you would think. Though I will say it's not 100% perfect. The way the visuals are represented are nice, but the cutscenes are where things get a little weird. Now, they're a bit different from the in-game models and cutscenes where they're a little more expressive, but the problem is that they're a bit different quality because they're compressed for the GameCube discs, which are already compressed enough. And another thing about the cutscene quality is the fact that we have dialogue, like full voice acting, which is cool at first, but then you realize that some of the characters sound a little funny. Like Peach herself just seems a little sterile in a way. She sounds like herself, but doesn't really have much to say other than just, "Oh, you understand this, Mario?"
Stereotypical.
Again, impressions still on key.
It was annoying how Mario, in a game where there's a lot of voice acting, doesn't get much else to say. I mean, I would love for him to say something like, "Okie dokie, let's see what we're working with," when he goes into a portal. Or he would have probably said something like, "So I may not use Flood, but I'm still as versatile as ever. Woohoo!" Like that, you know? I mean, it just seems like a little nitpicky, sure, but it's kind of weird how he doesn't speak in a game with a lot of voice acting.
Takes out the essence.
Yep. But at least the story itself is not that bad. Bowser Jr. pretending to be Mario to essentially frame him and ruin his plan so he can get to Peach is cool. Although the fact that he thinks Peach is his mom is unsettling. I mean, what? How is Princess Peach supposed to give birth to a scaly reptilian turtle dinosaur?
Seems to be a plot hole there.
Yeah, but spoiler alert, at the end, Bowser Jr. admits that he knew that Peach wasn't really his mom. However, to Bowser's satisfaction, Bowser Jr. commits to his father that he's going to go up against Mario, which isn't a bad thing. He wants to make his dad proud. Although it is annoying how Bowser Jr. mostly just goes in his clown cart, with a few exceptions in some games. I mean, I kind of like that he was pretending to be Mario when he was Shadow Mario. Although when you think about it, Mario Sunshine copied Sonic Adventure 2, which is funny.
All I can say about it is that never underestimate human nature.
Yeah.
Another problem I have with Mario Sunshine is the blue coins, where you need a map to find them, which is something that I understand why people would be upset about. I mean, there's no map for this. You would definitely need a map to find the blue coins, although this game, being full roaming 3D, means that you have to try and go out and basically explore the world. Delfino Plaza is a great place to go around in. I would love to be there if it was real. And the fact that people act like you need to get out a game guide to help you find the blue coins is both understandable and annoying at the same time. The worst part is that they're required to get certain shines. They're needed for certain shines, and it seems a little funny how one of the NPCs from the game, I'm sorry that their name is coming out of my mind, but they're very distinct. They're very plump. They returned in Mario Galaxy 1 or 2, and they mostly speak like this. But they're great NPCs. Although it is annoying that they throw you around in the wrong direction in the specific levels where you don't use Flood. Though there is one thing I don't understand why people get upset about, that being the postcard that you get when you complete the game. Like, okay, it's a little anticlimactic as a reward, but is it really going to ruin the experience of a game when everything else you've done in the game is the point of buying the game? I mean, would you guys be upset if you got a postcard for beating the game?
No.
I agree, because the main point of the game was
Depends
just
how much the game pissed me off while I was playing it. Postcard? Is that all you get at the end?
yeah, but that's not the point of the game. I mean, sure, there's parts of the game that are annoying, like I said, with the blue coins and the bonus levels where you don't use Flood. But overall, the rest of the game is still pretty good. I like using Flood for the levels. I also like the aesthetics. The music is pretty good too. It's mainly beach themed, and that's fine by me. One weird thing though is that it's kind of funny how Mario has something strapped to his back to help him in his adventure, kind of like his brother Luigi did in the previous big Mario game for the console, Luigi's Mansion. Correct. And now, Super Mario Galaxy. And I'm sure you guys have a lot to say about Mario Galaxy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of went off on it before, but brief overview. Just very creative, new way to play, kind of brought new things to the Mario game. It was just such a fun experience too. It's like one galaxy can have 6 stars you have to find, and once you land on there, it's like you're not restricted to just the level. It's like you can go off and do other things as well, explore. Like, the level has its basic layout, but then to other players who want to keep playing and learn more, there's more to it. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And I mean, yeah, there were some things that pissed me off, like the Wii remote. Sometimes, again, I said it works best with the Wii remote for the Wii, but there was one with the ball when you have to balance the Wii remote on the ball that the star is in. That was, I would get so upset over that. And just the time stuff, I wasn't a big fan of. What really annoyed me was when I would complete a galaxy and then a comet would show up. And I would have to do that in order to play the other levels. Like, if there was a comet there, you would have to beat the comet in order to go to the actual galaxy and do more with it. But overall, I mean, it was just a great game. And then Super Mario Galaxy 2 came out, added Yoshi, just making the formula even better. So I'm very excited that they remastered this. I'm sure it's going to be really awesome, and I'm definitely looking forward to playing it again. Going to bring a lot of nostalgia, I'm sure.
I agree immensely. Especially a lot of the way you use the spin attack, getting to play as Luigi for some of the levels. I love the main hub world. I love the aesthetics.
Yeah, the hub world was great.
And the music is just mesmerizing, too.
The music was very magical, yeah. Just, it really went along with the whole in space aspect of it all. And again, the hub world, it was just 6 levels, and each time you completed a level, more of the hub world would open up, and then you could explore more of the hub world. It's not just like a door with a room with doors and a bunch of levels. It was like you could explore, find secret little things. Like on top of the hub was this star that would allow you to fly all over the map, kind of, which was cool. I just loved how each hub world in the hub, the levels, like each level was themed differently. Like the first one was the well, the second one was like the kitchen, I believe, the garden, the engineering room. It was just cool. I thought using the Wii remotes for Galaxy especially worked really well.
Yeah.
When you had a point on the screen and click the blue stars to grab you, you know. Overall, very fun game. Definitely highly recommend it. One of my favorite Marios for sure.
And I also love the inclusion of Rosalina, who, despite being a new character, is still engraved to the Mario universe.
Yeah, no, she's in the Mario Karts as well. So yeah, Mario Galaxy definitely engraved her as a new Mario character. It was nice to see someone different than Peach as well.
And Daisy as well.
Yep.
Like, whereas Peach is a typical girly girl and Daisy's a tomboy, Rosalina is unique for being a goddess, basically.
Rosalina was chill. Let's put it that way.
The best, like my favorite female Mario character of all time.
The star that let us do all the power shit. She hooked us up.
I agree. And with all these 3 games covered in terms of our memories with them, what can we say about the collection itself?
Well,
I mean, it's 3 games, and at least in the US, it's $60 to get them all. And I personally think that's a pretty good deal, because it's like they're not skimping out on. It's not like 3 short games. These are 3 full games that have been remastered, and you're getting the price for each of them. Again, at least in the US, just $20 for each game. And they're not. Again, they're full length games. You can explore. There's a bunch of stuff to do. So I think it's very smart. And again, during this whole pandemic stuff, that the timing of the release is really good too, because all these games are kind of lost to the past. And now new people who want to get into Mario, or people who just want to have any nostalgia again, like I do, can get into these games while you're just home doing nothing right now because of the state of the world, the state that the world is in. So I don't know. I feel like it was smart on Nintendo's part.
Plus, it's also great that we have stuff like Mario 64, which is a game that I'm sure most dads grew up with, granddads. But like, it's a great game that a lot of older fans grew up with. If their kids happen to love Mario as well, then I know for a fact that playing Mario 64 as well as Mario Kart and tennis would help the kids understand the past, and the parents can understand the modern stuff with Odyssey, Mario Kart 8, the Paper Series. Plus, you can also both try out Sunshine and Galaxy, which I don't think either of them have tried yet, but still want to play them nonetheless.
I mean, I feel like Mario games are always, and you can play them by yourself, or they're even fun. Like the Wii Mario games, just the normal 2D side-scroller ones, or even 3D worlds, those were just fun to play with other people as well. I mean, Mario games can be just either you and Mario, or just you can play with friends. That's why, again, I don't think anyone can hate a Mario game. It's just there's not that much to hate about it. It's like, again, first-person shooters. Yeah, I get people don't like the violence and like the guns and whatever. They're not good at it, but it's like Mario. I don't want to say you don't need any skills, because I mean,
all that matters is just sitting down and then being a casual player.
Yeah,
you start to be in love with the series more and more.
And you can enjoy with other people, like perfect. It's like you don't need to be a expert game or someone with big skills, but you can enjoy that. And I also think it's a good introduction for people that never bought Nintendo 64 or maybe a Wii. Nowadays we have different kind of consoles, video games, and I guess it's a perfect choice to know
Right.
to share that with those people that never played, those kids.
It isn't
Again,
all
yeah,
sunshine,
exactly.
however, pun intended, because there have been a couple of complaints with 3D All-Stars. First of all, the fact that it's digitally limited. Now, physically limited, I can understand why, because they want to treat it as a more special product, but digitally just doesn't make any sense. Why?
Yeah, I'm surprised something is digitally limited. I didn't even think that was possible. I only thought physically. I mean, not having enough physical copies makes sense, but digital, it's like it's just on the store. How can you run out of, I don't understand. I thought it was just like they put the game on the store, and if you buy it, it's like it's yours. Like they can't run out, but apparently they can. So I don't know.
Plus, the games themselves are emulated, which means that they're not going to really be a good thing for people that don't like emulations, that expected remasters. Now, don't get me wrong, Galaxy looks great on the Switch, and it is nice that Mario Sunshine at least has 16:9 widescreen without it being stretched, but it's not at 60 frames per second, which is kind of annoying because Mario Galaxy is on 60 frames per second. Why can't Sunshine? Plus, using a GameCube-esque controller for it is going to be a bit of a hard thing to do because the buttons aren't matched up properly to how they were in the past. Not a bad thing if you're new to this, but if you're a veteran Mario Sunshine player, it's going to annoy you. Now Mario 64 is a bit of a mixed bag for this compilation. I know people were expecting it to look like the fan-made version where it's basically similar to the SGI models, but I understand them trying to be faithful to the old game. However, it's a Shindo version, which means people are going to be upset because there's no Solange Bowser, although saying bye-bye is kind of funny. No, it's actually because Koopa is the name of Bowser in Japan.
Didn't know that.
Yeah. There's no speedrunning tricks. It's all patched because this is the Shindo version, which is a re-release that came with a Rumble Pack, although there's no Rumble Pack for this feature. The camera controls, I believe, are inverted. The Mario's voice clips when he jumps high are a little higher pitched, which is a little weird. The worst part is the fact that, sure, they added some nice textures to the game, but for one thing, it's not at 1080p. And another thing is that it's not at 16:9 widescreen like the other games are, and it's not even 60 frames per second. Again, I understand them trying to be faithful to the old game, but is it too much to ask for those features? I mean, it just seems a little weird that Galaxy looks the best on the game. Sunshine is second best. It just needed 60 FPS, and Mario 64 needed the widescreen and 60 FPS.
I know what you're saying. I don't know. I just feel like the graphics of 64 are part of, like, the nostalgia of it as well. Like, I mean, I don't know. I feel like some people, while you, in this case, think that it would have been better for them to do that, I feel like on the other hand, some people would have been pissed off if they did that. Would have ruined the nostalgia. So,
that's why
I don't know.
That's why I alluded to at one point, because I know for a fact that some people would only recognize Mario 64 for its aesthetics.
Yeah. But, I mean, again, we've talked about this before. It's just aesthetics aren't the only thing to a game. Like, and just judge it off how it looks.
Overall, Super Mario 3D All-Stars is an imperfect gift set or compilation of games. Like, there's things that could have been better, yes, but for what it's worth, this is probably the best we're going to get from Nintendo in terms of them bringing us 3 old games in one system. I would mainly recommend this if you don't have any of the games. If you have like Mario 64 in any of its formats, Sunshine on the GameCube disc and Wii or Galaxy on the Wii disc, you don't need this, but like this is a lot better than people say it is. $20 per game is a good deal, and I understand that there's complaints that are worth mentioning, but overall, I think this is the best we're going to get for a good while. I'd rather play this than something like Animal Crossing, where you have to wait for DLC.
Yeah, fair.
Next up, we're going to be talking about Transformers Cyberverse, the latest cartoon made by Hasbro, Boulder Media, and Allstars Pictures. This is honestly better than I thought it was going to be. After first seeing the reveals back in 2017 or 2018, I thought it was going to be a crappy G1 remake that's going to appeal to the 80s boomers as well as the kids that think they're cool just by liking G1, but honestly, this is not bad.
Ooh. Yeah, I mean, I looked up an image of it, and I gotta say the animation I'm not a big fan of just from the look of it. So how did you feel about that?
Same thought, like I said. I thought I was going to like it at first because we had like a grinning Optimus Prime with a smirk. We got Bumblebee that looked like he was going to be a bit Flash animation-esque, and Windblade just standing there. But seeing the episodes like move around, like the characters moving around, doing their thing, was pretty fine by me. Sure, it's a little floaty in some instances with the action. It's a little brief, but overall, I think it's nicely done. The visuals are bright. They're very well made. Better than War for Cybertron, ignoring the different aesthetics in mind. And at least their models are made specifically for the show instead of taking the toy 3D files and barely modifying them to work well as animation, like with War for Cybertron Siege.
Well, yeah, definitely better than War for Cybertron, sounds like.
Yep.
So what was the premise of this one?
All right, I'm going to try and make this a bit brief. So, Season 1, Bumblebee and Windblade are trying to regroup with the Autobots. Bumblebee loses memories. Windblade helps him. They meet up with the flashbacks of Bumblebee's past, along with the likes of them meeting for the first time, why Starscream's a dick, McAdam, the bartender, who's cool, as well as the past of Optimus Prime, what he did, Megatron ripping up Bumblebee's voice before it happened again, with Bumblebee losing his voice on Earth. Along the way, they encounter Slipstream and the Seekers. Then they meet up with Teletran X, an extension of Teletran 1, who try to help out the crew members of the Ark, and the Grimlock, who was formerly a crew member of the Ark before he scanned a dinosaur mode after essentially falling out of the Ark by accident when he tried to save Bumblebee. They get to the Ark. Season 2 gives us a time jump of the Autobots and Decepticons fighting. We get stuff like Bumblebee and Hot Rod meeting Cheetor, who's the guardian of the Allspark and a former Beast Wars character. Rivalry between Jetfire and Skybite, as well as Starscream turning against everyone before he gets knocked out temporarily by Optimus's Matrix, as Starscream used the Allspark to make him a lot stronger. Then the Autobots leave the planet Earth. They go to Cybertron. The war continues. However, the Autobots, despite winning at first, face another time jump as they're now taken over by the Quintessence Army. Hot Rod and Clopper have to rescue the Autobots and Decepticons. They do so little by little, but then they get to everybody, and they're essentially starting to go up against the Quintessence. However, they realize that Starscream is one of them now, so they are deemed guilty at first. However, Optimus and Megatron step in, with Megatron getting a Matrix from the alternate universe, and they take down Starscream. But we're not done yet, as the Autobots and Decepticons have their own separate borders. So Autobots have their own half of Cybertron, Decepticons their own half. Thunderhowl shows up, so does Wild Wheel. Then we get the Perfect Decepticons, who interrupt Bumblebee's quest with finding Windblade, her mind, because her mind has been split up when she tried to use a Titan to help stop Starscream when he was a Quintessence. Then we get Megatron X, who's just a bigger version of Megatron, who's black, and wiped out all the Autobots in his world. Pretty much all that there is to say about it.
Well, that was quite the recap.
Yeah.
So, you said that the ending was a little, at least the final battle wasn't as good as you had hoped. But overall, what would you say about the ending in general?
Well, the ending itself is a mixed bag in some ways. Like, Season 1 and 2 finales were good because Season 1 ended it off with the Autobots regrouping once and for all. We got a great scene of Optimus telling the Autobots to roll out. Season 2 set up the story where the Autobots are now going to Cybertron, which is a part of Season 3 at the beginning. Season 3 just ends off with Megatron X being around a bit, trying to get the Matrix from Bumblebee, but then he fights against Optimus with a Matrix Blast, and he loses when Windblade destroys his Matrix, and Astro Train takes Megatron X away. So, yeah, That's how it turned out.
So, it's still better than War for Cybertron, though, right?
Yeah, like at least the first season alone was more interesting because War for Cybertron Siege, its problem was the pacing, where it's just far too slow. Barely anything happens. It's mostly just characters that look at each other and they say, "War. Yes, war. I love war. Shut up." Optimus Prime sucks at fighting. Later one. I know that already. Shut the fuck up. Whereas here, we get better character interactions. We get much more interesting story arcs. We get more in common characters than just the G1 guys. I mean, we get Skybite. We have Lockdown, who is not really as cool as his animated or movie counterparts, but still a nice addition. We get Clobber, Macadam, who's a comic character. We also have new guys like Wild Wheel and Thunderhowl.
So they introduced some new characters as well to the show, and you were a fan of them.
Yeah, I like them.
Okay.
My favorite character that was newly introduced has to be Clobber. She's this big bruiser fembot who may look ugly on the outside and was a former Decepticon, but she's willing to help out her Autobots now, especially Hot Rod.
Okay, interesting. So we kind of got like an anti-hero thing going on with her.
Well, she's not really an anti-hero. She's fairly... she's not the brightest character. She's like mostly brawn and not really brain, but she's still a cool fembot nonetheless.
All right.
Made things good or things bad, you know?
Well, in terms of things I didn't like about Cyberverse, individually, the episodes being 11 minutes long is a little sucky because you feel like you're just being way too brief, whereas watching them at 22 minutes would be a little more worthwhile. But when you're binge watching an entire season, it's not that bad. In fact, I think if you make a supercut, you can make a movie out of each season.
Yeah, no, I would definitely say, like, episodes that are like 20 or 11 minutes long, definitely binge watching is the way to go. Because it feels more complete that way.
Yeah, especially because
I hate when episodes do that and then like wait a week in between.
Yeah, especially...
like you can't do that with a 20-minute episode. There's not enough content that happens.
Yeah,
and even in an 11-minute episode, that's even less.
I mean, here it's at least more serialized, whereas War for Cybertron just dragged on too much. We get dialogue that's super dull, and we get stop-motion-esque animations for the characters where it's super lackluster. They just point their guns or they barely punch each other effectively. Then we get back to them talking before they do their next thing. Whereas Cyberverse, it at least snaps quickly. Like, it's super fast with what it does, but it's still natural at the same time.
All right.
I don't think Cyberverse is the best TV show ever. Like, it's no Beast Wars, it's no animated, it's no Prime, and I don't think it's up there with the peak Transformers content like the games, War for Cybertron, Fall of Cybertron, the first movie, and as well as Dark of the Moon, the Marvel comics, the Devastation video game, and the Armada video game. But I still like it nonetheless. It's a good series, and I rate it 7 out of 10.
7 out of 10. That's definitely better than War for Cybertron.
Yep.
So we got a win in my book.
Yep. Next up, we're going to be talking about Ray Fisher and his battle against Warner Brothers. So, if you're not aware, cyborg actor Ray Fisher has went up against Warner Brothers for their inability to not only be aware of the bad stuff that they've done regarding its certain individuals that were involved with the post-production of Justice League after Zack Snyder stepped down, or more so was fired by Warner Brothers, but Ray Fisher is also calling out Warner Brothers for refusing to help him out with the investigation. Now, let's go back to when all this stuff was starting to seem peachy at first, before things started to get worse. Who'd like to begin?
I was just going to say that it's just Joss Whedon was brought on to finish Justice League after Zack stepped away or was fired by Warner Brothers after his daughter died, and fans of Justice League, we saw the first trailer, and we were like, all right, let's go. And then a new trailer dropped, and there were some differences. And we were all still like, all right, interesting. Looks a lot different than the first trailer we got. I mean, personally, I expected Joss Whedon to just finish the movie that Zack had started.
Right.
That's not what happened. Warner Brothers got involved, made him shorten the movie down to only 2 hours, and then just let Joss run rampant with it. They just ruined what Zack had planned, and hopefully we will finally see once the Snyder Cut is released in May 2021. But it all stems from Joss Whedon, and it turns out that this man was even worse than just ruining Justice League. He was abusive on set to Gal Gadot. He made her do that one scene where Flash Late fell on her, and there was a great movie joke there.
Yeah, that was not good at all.
Yeah, that was real funny, right? Yeah. I mean, and then it turns out Gal isn't even in that scene. It was her stunt double or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's just ridiculous. And now finally, all this shit going behind the scenes, and Ray Fisher is stepping up.
Yeah.
With he is not taking any of this bullshit anymore, and he is shooting a target right at Warner Brothers and telling them to be accountable for their actions. But what's Warner Brothers doing?
Well, they got rid of Joss Whedon, as we mentioned, even before Ray Fisher brought up what was going on. But they don't seem to be willing to help him out with going after people like John Berg, I believe. But more so, they refuse to do anything with Jeff Johns.
It's like Warner Brothers just can't take account of their actions. And like I thought with the Snyder Cut coming out, it was like Warner Brothers this is their apology for what they did all the way back then. They ruined Justice League. They thought they knew what they were doing. They were listening to stupid Jeff Johns.
Yeah, they messed up Ben Affleck. They threatened, or Joss threatened to end Gal's career.
Exactly. Poor Ben Affleck, the man was like, I literally can't go through another Justice League again, or else I'll go back to rehab. Like, that right there shows you there was something wrong with the rest of the production of this film. And it did not stem from Zack Snyder.
Nope.
But anyway, kind of getting off track again. But so Warner Brothers is, I thought with releasing the Snyder Cut, they're finally like, all right, here's our apology. We're sorry for fucking up Justice League. We're giving it back to the fans now because clearly you guys want it.
Yep.
They like try to cover it up. And Ray is not letting them do it. Like, good for him. He's fucking fighting back. And they could destroy his career. And I feel like he knows this. Because that's the real truth of the movie industry. It's like the people who are in power have the power. And you don't want to fuck with them because they'll fuck you over.
Plus,
that's always how it's been.
Plus, if they decide to stop Ray Fisher, then it proves that he won because they're trying to silence him. And the fact that he's bringing up all these things that are worth talking about just shows how cowardly Warner Brothers is. Plus, as we all know, the people that are mainly trying to promote the Snyderverse are HBO Max and AT&T. Like, they care. Warner Brothers is just begrudgingly trying to accept him so they can at least get a participation award from the fandom. But the fact that they're not willing to support Ray Fisher is just eyebrow-raising.
It really bothers me. It's like, why are they trying to silence it?
Yeah.
They still want to lie. And then Ray pointed out something else with another tweet where Warner Brothers willfully chose to publicly undermine the seriousness of the toxicity and abuse that himself and others have reported to Warner Brothers' home HR and labor relations. And then even with the announcement of Batman coming back, Ben Affleck coming back, that was even politically motivated.
Of course. That was clearly meant to be for DC fandom. Sucks. Like, that was meant for DC fandom. Why are they saying that before the announcement was supposed to happen? Of course, we now know why. They're trying to silence Ray Fisher.
It's just ridiculous how it's like, just take responsibility for your actions and move on. Why keep lying and make it worse?
Then there's also stuff like the fact that they tried to make a Frosty the Snowman movie with Jason Momoa, which I never bought in my entire life. Like, I never thought that would actually be the case. Sure, he's a famous actor, but why would he be involved with this? As it turned out, it's just a distraction.
Yeah.
And funny enough, Jason Momoa called out Warner Brothers. He said that they deserve to be called out for lying. He didn't even get aware of this stuff. They didn't ask him permission to be in the movie, which is just insane.
It's like, who does Warner Brothers? It really sucks, because back in the day, Warner Brothers was like the studio that would let these directors and creators make their own thing. They wouldn't get involved. They would just allow them to do it.
Right.
But now it's all about the money, and it's just, I feel like every friggin' company is just becoming exactly like Disney. It's just all about the money and have to hide everything bad about it, and it's just a shame. I thought Warner Brothers was on a new path with the announcement of Snyder Cut, but now I can clearly see it was all just politically motivated, kind of. Not, or I guess politically is not the right word.
Well, in a way, it kind of is. Ironically, a
Yeah,
lot of
I mean,
corporations after the fact that George Floyd was killed, are they trying to go all Black Lives Matter? Like some
Yes.
companies do it better than others. Like Power Rangers is a brand has already been doing this ever since they began because they know what they're doing with supporting communities like that. They know how to support the Black community. They've been doing this since the beginning. Whereas a company like Warner Brothers, they act like they do it, but just for the clout. If you know what's funny, the only Black life they're not going to support, or that doesn't matter to them, is Ray Fisher because he's calling them out, which is amusing.
It's about time. Like, honestly, good for fucking Ray. And Ray's taking a big risk too, but it's like, you fuck with the wrong people, they can fuck you over. But right now, Ray is kind of in the perfect position. He was supposed to be in this huge ass movie that ended up doing commercially awful because of Joss Whedon and ruining Justice League, basically. And so all these, like, Ray Fisher was literally cast as Cyborg. It wasn't going to be a one and done deal. He had a spin-off movie of his own. He's going to make cameos in the other movies, I'm sure. But now it's like all that's gone. And now Snyder Cut's coming back. And now he's getting into the spotlight again. And he's not like super well known. So it's like he's the perfect person to do this because he doesn't really have a huge career that Warner Brothers can threaten to take away from him right now.
Of course.
Because guess what? They're not going to like remove him from the Snyder Cut. Like, they can't. Right? It's like he kind of has immunity, I would say. And that's why I think he's getting away with all these tweets. And it's great that he is because it fucking needs to come to light. It pisses me off so much.
I agree 110%.
Yeah. It's good. Well, as I said.
Yeah, what do you want to say?
We don't know a lot of stuff that happens there, on the reshoots. Because we don't know what happened. Well, we know many things about Ben, but we don't know exactly, clear things with Gal Gadot, with Jason, with Henry Cavill also, with Ezra Miller. Maybe this is the beginning, to say, hey, why we are not talking about this? Okay, maybe it's in the past, but it's important because there's a lot of stuff we don't know, and it's important to the people to know that power, the people that have power, they did something, something bad.
Right.
It's important that our fans or the people that support us know about this.
You would think that we should know about this, but they just fucking hide it. It's like you just don't know what goes on behind the scenes of anything.
Also annoying is the fact that we have people that claim to be supportive of people of color. They put in BLM in their bios or their names, act like they're some sort of big hero. Yet they started to laugh at Ray Fisher just because he's involved with Zack Snyder, which is stupid. These clout poor motherfuckers don't even know a damn or two about an actual human being that is standing up against a corporation that basically refuses to help him out with stuff like Gal Gadot being threatened for her career by Joss Whedon or Ben Affleck's like alcohol problems.
That's happened. It's like
like
it was his movie, and then they just have the right, because they're the producers of the movie. They just have the right to do whatever they want with it after. Like, even though it was his vision, it was Zach's vision, and then they just fucking trampled all over it because they thought that was the right way to go, because that's what the money would earn.
Yeah,
but
like,
guess what? That's not what happens.
Of course. Thankfully, we are getting the Snyder Cut for once. I'm very happy about that. But my happiness will not go to Warner Brothers. It will instead go to HBO Max and AT&T, who is powering my internet, by the way. Yeah, I always wanted to work at AT&T. I mean, just so I can work on computers as well as the internet. But the Snyder Cut wasn't the main reason why I wanted to work there. It was just me wanting to be a part of AT&T, plus I like the name AT&T. But anyways, yeah.
I mean, overall, it's like good, like, honestly good for Ray. Like, just keep doing what you're doing, guy. I really think you'll get him. It's not like it's in vain, because it's clearly making a difference. I feel like Warner Brothers right now is kind of scrambling, and you can tell from that by the fact that they released that news about Batman being in the Flash early.
Yep.
Because they were trying to lead attention off of what was going on, and Ray was talking about by getting fans' attention, like, oh, Ben Affleck's coming back. That'll distract them. And they were right.
Yeah.
That's the unfortunate part. They were totally right. Everybody lost their shit when they heard that.
But of course, as we all know now, that was just a distraction because DC Fandom was meant to have the announcement there.
Yep. What a better announcement it would have been at Fandom 2. It really sucks. It kind of pisses me off. I would have loved to see that announcement at Fandom with Ben coming back on and just being like, all right. I'm like, we're just... He literally could have said anything. I would have been so happy.
He could have said, I'm back.
It's like, all right, thanks. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Could have just been like, whatever, you know. I mean, again, Ray Fisher, fucking good for him.
Looking back at
least there's one guy out there doing the right thing still.
Looking back now at the first episode, I kind of don't think I'm too positive or too confident in supporting the other films that we mentioned. I mean, I went from saying that I don't mind them now because we got the Snyder Cut, but Warner Brothers' actions are not making me too confident in supporting Wonder Woman 1984, whatever else they're doing, like the Suicide Squad, Batman.
It really pisses me off because you're absolutely right. It's like we got all these great DC films coming, but it's all under Warner Brothers, and it's corrupt.
Yeah. Like, me personally, I thought, I just feel to myself that I don't mind them now. Like, people can like them now.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to, like, watch them right away. I'm just not interested, but I'm glad we got the Snyder Cut, but it is sucky that Warner Brothers is refusing to help out Ray Fisher.
It's just, you think after all the Me Too stuff and all the things that have already come to light in the past, like, couple of years, you think Warner Brothers would have the balls and the decency to be like, all right, we fucked up. We're sorry. We did these bad things. But it's like, but no, it's like they haven't even, they're still trying to deny it. It's so dumb. It really pisses me off.
They will still try to hide everything.
Yeah.
It's like, why?
Like, they don't have to do it for the clout. They could just admit that they messed up, and we would be happy for them. But sadly, it's going to take Warner Brothers a long time for them to cooperate. Although it is interesting
Warner Brothers is afraid of making that step. Because it is a big step to admit that you were wrong and that they actually did do this. That's a big deal because they're going to get some shit for it.
Yeah.
It's like, do the right thing.
Yeah.
But they're not. So.
Although Diane Nelson, interestingly, posted a reply to a fan that, she admits, like Jeff Johns did bad stuff behind the scenes, which is unexpected.
Yeah.
Then she nuked her account, likely to try and not get in trouble with DC.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's you just people are saying like, oh, now you can start talking about things. It's a more open space. It's not. It's really not. It's still the same. Like, yeah, maybe things have gotten a little better, but there's still as much corruption, and you just don't know anything that goes on behind the scenes. It's just,
Yeah.
I don't know. I have nothing more to say.
Yeah.
Interestingly, though, like last year, she replied to someone else who was named the Holy Risen, and when she was trying to defend Joker, when she read or like reshared a post, another guy named Androider mentioned that it's it's underwhelming how she's supporting Joker but not Zack Snyder. Then the Holy Risen showed up and said, "Oh, like she's helping Jeff basically tear up his projects from the inside." And Diane Nelson says, "Oh, Jeff Johns, he is no buddy of mine."
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
I think I saw that actually.
Yeah, I posted that at one point, which is kind of surprising because, like, it's a year after she previously interacted with the Holy Risen, and it's nuts.
It's like people try and defend like Jeff, and it's like fine, defend him, but it's like you still can't deny the fact what he's done.
Yeah.
Maybe he's not as bad of a person as we think he is, but he's still done these bad things, and I just feel like people skim over it, and it's like, oh, because he's such a good comic writer.
Right.
It's like because of that standing they already have, it's like they're able to get away with these things, and that it's just that shouldn't be allowed, but it is.
I agree. So what can we learn
what
from
can you
this
do?
topic matter? I'm hoping that Ray Fisher wins, and Warner Brothers they stop trying to go for the clout
all
instead.
my rooting to Ray Fisher right now.
Yeah.
Fucking go, boy.
So Ray Fisher, I don't know if you're watching this video or not. If you are, I just want to say thank you for speaking up, man. I really appreciate it. We really appreciate it, and we hope you win this battle against them.
You're the only one doing the right thing, man. Keep doing what you're doing.
Yep.
Here, Justus, we support you.
And finally, the next topic matter we'll be talking about is the Avengers video game made by Square Enix.
Ooh.
So,
Here we go.
this is a fairly interesting video game to talk about. Now, with the Mario 3D Allstars compilation, we know these games by now. But what about Avengers? I mean, this is a game that has been hyped up since 2017, as far as I can tell. Hasn't had a peep since then, but now we got a trailer in 2019. We got all the information we need in over time, and now it's out this year. What do you guys think of the game?
It will, from what I've heard, the story is really good, and the gameplay looks fun, but one thing they do that pisses some people off is they start the game and you start as Miss Kamala Khan, I believe her name is. And
Yeah, Miss Marvel?
yes, and then you go to a flashback, I believe, of the past, and you play as all the Avengers. You can play as each one, and you do that stuff for a bit, and you switch off between each hero, but then it's like it comes to a halt, and then you go back to being just Kamala, and then it's like it's her job to like recruit the rest of them and get them back on the team. But one major thing I hear is that there's a lot of leveling up issues, and it's kind of like Assassin's Creed, where you need to do some side missions in order to level up and be able to do the main missions, which for me, my play style is I usually do a lot of the side missions first before I finish the main game. But I know for some people, they don't like doing that, and they think it's like a time waster a little bit, and I can see why. But, I mean, again, I haven't played the game yet personally. I'm looking forward to when I have a little bit more cash in me bank, but it definitely looks very fun. I know the first person I'm playing as when I get it is Thor, so I need to fly around and smash people with my hammer.
From my experience, I think the story itself is a good idea. We're getting these Avengers. They seem like they're doing everything right. Then the event happens. Now they messed up. They're separated. Captain America is seemingly MIA or dead, and these guys are all damaged. They split up. Now they got to reunite. And of course, we have Kamala as a center focus in a way. I think as a character, I'm not a big fan of her. People consider her to be the supposed SJW side of Marvel, but she's not as obnoxious as, say, America Chavez or the Captain Marvel, basically. Like,
I'm telling you, this is where Marvel is going to run into an issue with these new movies. I mean, it's like you can't. We don't have the OG characters anymore. They're gone. You have to start over and make us fall in love with these characters. And it's like the same with this game. It's like not many people know Kamala Khan that well. I feel like it would have been better if you started with the Avengers themselves, and then maybe like how the Spider-Man game did it with you play Spider-Man first, they introduce Miles, and now we're getting a Miles Morales game.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that would have been a little better.
Yep.
But
maybe.
I don't know. Again, I really can't talk because I haven't played the game, but
I'm trying not to make too many spoilers.
I
don't want to make too many spoilers. I know there's people that really have a huge connection to the Avengers. I have a bit of a so-so connection. I mean, the hype for the first movie was unreal, but I'm just going to say that the game itself has great ideas, but the execution is a little lackluster.
The story really is there, and from what I've heard, it's really good. I mean, I really don't know much about it, but
I mean, in terms of the gameplay, it's again a bit of a mixed bag. I mean, there's parts where I think, yeah, this is pretty good. There's other parts where I think, it could be better. You know, Kamala Khan.
Exactly. It's like what we've said it before. It's like just having a good story, just having one good thing doesn't make a good game. Like, you need more of it. And yeah, maybe the story is really good, but I hear some of the gameplay with some of the characters gets a little lackluster at times, and sometimes you're forced to play as some characters. And I mean, I get the variety thing, but it may have been better for them to let you choose, like how Gotham Knights is going to let you choose between the four. Like, you're not restricted.
Yeah, the deal with this is like, okay, you have many characteristics that maybe will make the game good. As the Avengers, you change the characters, but it doesn't make the game memorable. It's like it's really fun, you know, to play with your friends and everybody. It's not memorable. And if you're talking about the Avengers, they're like, you know, nowadays they are like, you know, very famous, you know, but this game, it's okay, but in my opinion, it's not like, you know, I don't know, it's not.
It looks too like there's a bunch of gear like you can acquire, and I'm guessing that's how you level up your character. I'm always not the biggest fan of that type of stuff.
Okay, it's not a bad thing per se, although it does give off the feeling that you could have probably just at least had your characters be a little more complex in terms of gameplay. Learning new moves is fine. The gear just seems a little odd. Like, it just seems like more like a thing for cosmetics in a way.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I just feel like we have these games already, just not Avengers. If that makes sense.
Oh, there you are, Fred. Sorry.
Okay. Hello?
So what were you saying, Evie?
That, like, we have these games already, like, with these types, but it's just not Avengers. So that's why this one's a big deal. But it's like the gameplay itself, we've kind of already experienced. I don't know.
I mean, I hate to shit on this because I know that, like, nowadays, shitting on anything Marvel, especially the MCU, just seems like a cool thing, especially if you're like one of those DC fan pages that just tries to be tough.
Yeah.
But I get the aspirations for this game. It's very ambitious, though I just feel that there's a lot that's left to be desired in a lot of ways. Plus the way the characters
Yeah.
look in the game, like Hulk looked fine, Black Widow was okay-ish, Iron Man is Iron Man. Captain America though just looked a little funny. Like looked a little barrel-chested. The armor just seemed a little like too militaristic for him. Like the way Captain America works is either making him look like the comic suit, which is a little spandexy and cheapish, or you make him look like the MCU. And this guy tries not to look like the MCU, but he looks a little weird.
Yeah, I mean, when they released the trailer for it and I saw all the looks of the characters, I was like, they just look like knockoffs of, like, the actual characters from the movie. Like, why didn't they just do that instead? And, like, I get they wanted to make it their own, but it was like they were so similar. It was like, just why didn't you just make them that way?
Yeah, it looked more like they took like their action figures using the concept art that hasn't even been finalized
it was like
yet.
There was a meme where it was like a picture of them and it was like their names, but like misspelled one letter. Like Tony was phony, Bruce was like
I guess you could say it like that, but it's more like
Yeah.
you know how like a lot of movies have action figures that are not even finalized to the movie designs.
yeah.
An example of this would probably be like Transformers, where the figures sometimes have inaccurate decos or design cues that aren't finalized for the movie. The Dinobots, for example, are colored differently. Like they're each given a specific color scheme that's not even in the movie. Optimus Prime also has like a different chest design for when he becomes a knight. Lockdown looked a little pale in the face, where he was a little more human in the final design. That's how I feel with the designs in the Avengers game, especially with Captain America and then the way Iron Man, I guess.
Yeah, I just don't get why they didn't do the normal Iron Man look. They did the comic look, which I'm not personally a big fan of.
Like, what worked with Spider-Man PS4 was that it looked a little weird at first. I mean, we're used to the black spider emblem. We're used to there being a consistent palette scheme for the red and blue. Yet, it worked because it was making its own identity without throwing off the viewer or the player. Whereas these
That's
designs
actually a
for the
really good
Avengers
point.
just feel a little like concept art used for the final toys before the movie was even finalized.
Yeah.
No, that's the point you made with Spider-Man. That makes sense because when I remember seeing the trailer for that, I was like, "What is this friggin' suit? Like, what is this shit?"
Yeah, I was like thinking to myself,
but then I ended up loving it. It's a great suit. I don't know. Again, these are all just judgments I'm making based on of what I've seen and what I've heard from people so far. I need to play it. That's what it really comes down to. And maybe I'll change my mind, but from what I'm seeing right now, it doesn't look like anything special. Let's put it that way.
yeah,
But it doesn't look like a bad game either.
yeah, not bad, but not the best either. I get what they're going for,
Yeah.
but the execution could be better. I mean, it is nice if we get stuff like game. It is nice if we get to have these characters involved. It's nice if we have like a Avengers video game that seems a bit bigger than what we normally got. I mean, sure, we had like the Lego Marvel superheroes games as well as Ultimate Alliance 3, but those weren't as big in terms of the story and the gameplay as Avengers were. And I get the inspiration that Avengers had.
I mean, at the end of the day, all these types of games that they're making, they come down to the story and the gameplay. And it sounds like Marvel's Avengers really has the story nailed down real well, which I can. It sounds like they do. It sounds interesting. I mean, the Avengers lose in the beginning. Apparently, Cap's dead, and then it's about Kamala bringing them back together, and then. I mean, I don't know what happens, but apparently MODOK, I think, is the main villain. But
Yeah.
I don't know. The story definitely sounds like it's there. But again, the gameplay, I don't know if I can speak of. I'm sure there's characters that are way better to play as, but there's definitely going to be some. Like, they didn't put all their time and effort into making each character unique and stuff. Like,
Yeah, that's the problem. Like, some aren't a bad thing. Like, playing as Iron Man wasn't a bad thing. Captain America's a little vanilla. Hulk was fine. Black Widow could have been a bit sleek in a way. Kamala Khan,
honestly, I don't know.
Despite not having a big attachment to Kamala Khan, I did like the gameplay with her. And I also like that we got stuff like AIM, and Taskmaster,
Yeah.
who looks better
Yeah.
in the game than in the Black Widow movie.
Oh shoot, that's right. Forgot he's in that. Still hasn't come out.
Yep. Setting aside my fatigue with the MCU and the Avengers in a way, I understand what they're going for. It's just the execution could have been better. Also, I'm not a fan of the
Again,
UI,
I
the
think
technical issues.
This game too was made for many Marvel stands. Like definitely the Marvel mass. This game was made for, because
Yeah.
Marvel doesn't have a lot of games in general. So the fact that they have this video game now, it's kind of a big deal for
Yeah,
huge Marvel fans, I'm sure.
I get the appeal of it. I mean, video games
yeah.
nowadays for big properties that aren't based on IPs like Mario or Halo or Sonic, like it's great to have a big video game for them. I felt that with Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I always have that sort of high excitement for it when it's something like a bit of a movie tie-in.
Again, Spider-Man was a great game, but like it wasn't anything special. It was just like people who love Spider-Man and wanted to swing around the city are going to love this game. But if you don't want to do that, then the game's not for you.
But like, here's the thing though, it feels a lot more advanced, not just because it's in a different console, but because it feels like a lot more fulfilling. It feels the most natural to how Spider-Man would animate in the stuff that we've seen him in. It just feels like Insomniac and Sony doing their hardest to make the best Spider-Man game that there is. Up there with the likes of Spider-Man 2.
About how long it took for them to get the web slinging down. I remember that.
Yeah. Like I said, it's up there with Spider-Man 2. I'm positive that there's other games like the PlayStation era games that were well loved.
That's another reason I just don't think group games work as well. Like, I know people say, "Oh, we want a Justice League game so bad," but it's like a lot of work would go into making each one of the characters unique and special. It's like with one character, it's like you just have to focus. Like again, Arkham, like just had to focus on Batman and gave him a bunch of cool shit. Like, I think I'd rather quality over quantity, and I feel like in Avengers, it's probably more quantity.
Thankfully, not as much quantity over quality as I was initially anticipating, but I still feel a little underwhelmed with it.
Okay. Interesting. I mean, again, I'm sure people who are big Avengers and Marvel fans will enjoy the game because it lets you do what you want to do in a Marvel or Avengers game. Just be the characters and go around smashing shit.
Right. And much like how we mentioned with Super Mario 3D All-Stars, if you want that game, go for it. I'm not going to stop you. Like, we don't want to be like those websites are all stuff like, oh, you can support this, but know that you're supporting a company that doesn't deserve our money. Like how they are with Mario 3D All-Stars. I mean, I just want to share honest thoughts with the game. Like, it's not bad, but I wish it was better. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
that's fair. I mean, hey, at the end of the day, everything we say are just our opinions. You can either take it or you don't have to. In the end of the day, it's totally your judgment and what you want to do. All right, so I guess since you played it the most, what would you rank it out of 10 as of right now?
Well, I'm going to rank it at around a 5. I think the story itself isn't bad. Parts of the gameplay are pretty good. But the thing that sort of turns me off is the fact that the character designs just feel a little underwhelming. Like, they look more like action figures that use the concept art instead of looking final to the film itself. The UI is not that great. The way you have to improve your characters is a good idea, but part of me wonders if is this supposed to be an RPG or a superhero video game where it's more so about smashing things, like it is in a level similar to the Arkham series. And I think using the term smashing doesn't fit the Arkham series, but my point is that it feels similar to the Arkham series, yet it feels like it's trying to be an RPG in a way as well, because it's Square Enix.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Square Enix does do,
Great idea, just could be better, is all I'm saying.
It's tough. I mean, again,
Like,
to make a really good Avengers game and put all that time and effort and work. I mean, personally, I thought they might have a chance to do it just because this game was announced like so long ago. Like, I think we got like a trailer for it in like E3 2012 or something.
I think the E3 2012 announcement was a different game, not this Avengers game. I think it had like Wolverine in it. Yeah, I think it was like before Disney got more involved with Marvel and Marvel Studios.
Yeah.
That's my theory.
Christ, that's true. That was so long ago. Oh my god.
The actual trailer for the game appeared in 2019.
Yeah,
around the time Avengers Endgame was announced. So yeah, that concludes episode 3. I hope you guys enjoyed this segment of the Justus Podcast. I'm pretty sure it's been a lot to say. With that said, guys, I hope to see you in the next episode. We'll see you next time.